It is 10:02. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica, and Merry Christmas. The Titans trail 10-0 at half, but A.J. Brown's career-high 11 catches for 145 yards and a touchdown powered the Titans past the 49ers on Thursday Night Football. Randy Bullock's 44-yard field goal in the final moments finished a 20-17 victory in Nissan Stadium. The Titans picked off Jimmy Garoppolo twice in the win without turning the ball over and improved to 10-5 on the season. The next Colts loss or Titans win will clinch the AFC South. The Colts taking on the Arizona Cardinals tomorrow as part of a Christmas Day doubleheader. That kicks off at 7:15 Central. Before that, it's Browns at Packers at 3:30 Central. Both games will be live on 104.5 The Zone, courtesy of Westwood One. Titans head coach Mike Vrabel speaking to the media now. You can hear it live right here on the Buck Reising Show. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. Well, welcome in to 104.5 The Zone. Hope you're feeling right, living well after a massive Titans victory yesterday at Nissan Stadium. Buck Reising here with you. Lucas Panzica is making it happen. Mac is back there as well. Got the whole crew on this Christmas Eve because it's absolutely a massive reaction Friday after a Thursday Night Football win. Mike Vrabel's at the podium right now, though, so we'll go ahead and hear from the head coach via Zoom.
What we thought was best for the team. Buster's done nothing but try to help us and playing inside and playing outside. And, Elijah was down, so, we kind of needed Buster to fill in a few different roles. There's just a lot of moving parts sometimes when you get in there and, working some guys back. So hopefully, Rabbit will have responded well to the action that he had last night. And then we'll get him going here, and hopefully he feels better, as well as Chris Jackson, as we move forward into next week.
Ben.
Hey, Mike. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, Ben. Merry Christmas to you too, buddy.
Thank you. Just 2 games with Zach Cunningham. How would you kind of assess what he's brought to you guys, and just how he's sort of integrated himself with your defense?
Yeah, I think that Zach, everything that I've seen, he in the building and walking around, and excited to be here. Excited, trying to learn his teammates, learn the defense. I want to try to. It's not an easy task to go and have learned a new defense where he was, with terminology and adjustments, and then coming here. And learning another defense with more terminology and different adjustments. And he's put a lot of work in. He's made some nice plays for us. He's tried to play physical for us. And hopefully we can continue to progress with him and the rest of the linebackers.
Emily?
Yeah, Coach, just with how many times, your team has turned the ball over the last couple of weeks to have a clean game like you did, how important is that just for the psyche and the confidence of your group?
Well, I think it makes all the difference in the world, Emily. I think that, I think there could be a little bit of that too. It's like, just, man, are we going to turn it over? Or, may think just that's human nature. That's human nature to not have let that creep into you a little bit. But once you get into the football game, I felt like guys were trying to be aggressive and still take care of the football. We're always going to continue to coach it when it is loose, and whether showing them the opportunities that the defenders are coming from behind and trying to hammer it out of there. But it is certainly a huge positive for us to be able to go and play against a very good defense who had caused a lot of turnovers in the previous weeks, to be able to take care of the football and show our team how that translates to success.
Chris Harris. Hi, Mike. Yeah, I was just wondering if, there are moments throughout the season that can be pivotal for one way or another. Is this perhaps a galvanizing moment with the way that you guys performed, given everything that has happened over the last couple of weeks? What do you think?
I hope so. I hope so. I think that what will be critical is for us to get some rest to try to stay as healthy as we possibly can. Um, try to reemphasize that to the team. That we all need to be as careful as we can to come back in here on Monday, make the corrections, and continue to improve here down the stretch. We always talk about you have to be playing your best football late. The teams that do that are the ones that get into the tournament, and we always want to try to be one of those football teams. But I think that this certainly can help us. The nature in which we won it, the grittiness in which it was won with, and so hopefully we can do some of those things and continue to carry that over into next week.
Terrell?
Yeah, with Ryan Tannehill, obviously, I mean, you can't speak for him, but I mean, does it seem like he played with more?
No, I
confidence?
can't. I can, Teron. I just won't. I could, but I'm not going to. So.
Okay. The truth is revealed. I appreciate that. So that being said, do you feel like he played with more confidence or something like that cockiness that he had with some of the throws, pushing it down the field, squeezing it into tight windows?
Yeah, but we also, protected. I mean, he also wasn't getting hit every other play, like maybe sometimes before. So, we're all responsible to try to take care of the guy with the football, and we did that. It wasn't perfect, but when given some time, you could see that Ryan was able to deliver the football. We executed. We got him to jump off sides. We executed that play first time since I've been here. And I think that that's really cool to see. And I think that was a huge play in the football game as well.
Paul?
Mike, you touched on it last night, and AJ said, suffers an upper body injury, and even then he said he couldn't get his heart rate up for 2 weeks. All these injuries, the guys coming back with the conditioning, how much of a challenge has that been for them to be able to contribute when they get back? Yeah,
that's I think it showed up a little bit. It's with some other guys, Paul, that you watch the tape, and it's really hard to recreate that and try to find that level, especially some of those guys around the line of scrimmage. For anybody that's maybe wrestled and not been in wrestling shape, that when you're kind of working a little different conditioning, where AJ, a receiver, may be doing some more running, a guy like Tier Tart is in there and wrestling with different guys and then trying to run to the football. So I think that's where the struggle is try to find ways for these guys around the line of scrimmage to get into football shape that maybe have been out for a few weeks. AJ and maybe a receiver would have the luxury of having more realistic conditioning as they're working their way back. So I think that's the one thing that I'm going to try to target is some of these guys at the line of scrimmage, is how do we focus on their conditioning, which is going to be battling with somebody at the line of scrimmage and then having to go and run to the football.
Thanks.
Jim?
Like you kind of touched on Jackrabbit earlier. How big of a play was his pick in the end zone, and do you think that kind of allowed you to settle down? And what did he do right on that play?
Well, I think it starts with the coaching staff. I walked into the red zone meeting, and a lot of teams like to run those corners, the corner route from inside. San Francisco was somebody that had shown a lot of those 7 stops or swirl routes, and so. I think that they were prepared. I think the coaches had them prepared to, try to make sure that we weren't on top of those routes and we were sitting on them. And, it was really cool to see Rabbit be able to take the information that he got in the meeting out into onto the game field and to be able to sit down on that route and not, be too high on it and make a play and be able to catch it. So, and it was a huge play at a huge moment.
Buck?
Hey, Mike, with Dylan and how he was preparing to play swing tackle. I know you haven't played tackle, obviously, but like, what can he use to translate to make sure that he's able to fill in at any spot at any given point for you guys when you need him?
I think that's a testament to him. The coaching staff is just trying to have some versatility, in which, I think we've always thought that Dylan had that versatility to play inside, to play outside. And I think to really improve, you have to be able to maybe target one particular position. I think as a young player, I think that's something that I could relate to. Not having played offensive line, but maybe playing different positions early on in my career. So we had been working him at guard, and this week we needed him to transfer and translate some of that information to playing tackle. So there is some versatility there, and we'll just continue to work with Dylan and improve and see where he's at next week.
Looks like we got 3 more here. Chris?
Yeah, Mike, just curious, the guys who are on the COVID reserve list, are they doing all right?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Chris. I think that's something that's always important is making sure that we stay connected with those individuals. It gets lonely, but they are doing well. I appreciate you asking.
Paul?
Just one on Dylan, Mike. Most of the time when you have a guy fill in,
Is this like
that,
some cruel joke that on Christmas we're going to let Paul ask 3 questions? Is that like some gag gift for me?
Yeah.
3 wishes, yeah.
Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
Most of the time you say when a guy steps in, we fully expected the guy to do his job and next man up and all of that. With Dylan, it seems like, I don't know, a little festival of pride and congratulations and stuff like it's framed differently, that the second round pick is doing something in week 16 and game 15.
No,
you feel that?
No, I don't. What I feel is a rookie that went out and competed against a very good defense, a very good player. That probably earned a lot of trust from his teammates for having stood in there and competed with the effort in which he did and helped us win a big game. That's I know that seems like very trivial to you, having not done that, but for me, who gets to watch that and coach that, that's a pretty cool thing. And I wish more people had the opportunity to do that. I know that the offensive line coaches and that unit is a tight unit. And again, whoever would have been out there, we would have had the same, reaction for them. Whether that was Kendall Lamb, who probably was waiting for an opportunity that unfortunately didn't get it, would have been the same thing.
Last one, Jimmy.
And Mike, what did you think about AJ's throw? And did you think he was trying to throw it away at that
No,
point?
I just don't think he had very much arm strength. I think that we tried to catch him on a play. I thought we could have had some of those up, and we didn't hit it, but we'll keep trying to find ways to get everybody involved. And unfortunately, we weren't able to hit that one, and it's a little underthrown.
And last one, I know you're going to enjoy your family on Christmas. Will you watch the Colts and, knowing the magnitude of that game, or are you hoping you can take care of your business even if they don't lose?
Yeah, I don't think that I'm sure we'll watch the game, right? We'll watch whatever football games are on, the next couple of days. We'll have to, we can't focus on people losing. We got to focus on us trying to win, and that's the most important thing.
Thanks, Coach. Have a great weekend. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Mike. Merry Christmas.
Appreciate it.
Christmas,
Hey, guys, Merry Christmas, guys. Enjoy some time. Happy holidays.
Titans head coach Mike Vrabel there with us via Zoom, wrapping up. He's at the facility. Doesn't look like there's any Christmas decoration. I thought there might be like ornaments on his sweater, but not even that. Shame. When we come back, we will take your reaction to the Titans' massive win over the San Francisco 49ers last night at Nissan Stadium. A lot of exciting stuff to get into. A.J. Brown, the defense showing out and showing up. 615-737-1045 is the number. Buck Reising here with you on this Christmas Eve. It's 1045 The Zone.
Tannehill in the gun has Foreman on his left hip. Tannehill drops. Pressure coming. He fires downfield. Touchdown! Titans! Arthur! Juan Brown! Welcome home!
Sure as hell. Mike Keith on the call last night. Titans radio. Titans getting the win over the San Francisco 49ers. 20-17, the final score. Buck Reising here with you till 1 o'clock on this Christmas Eve. 615-737-1045 is how you react to the Tennessee Titans defeating the San Francisco 49ers in all manner of improbable ways. Arthur Juan Brown, ladies and gentlemen, A.J. Brown, in his first game back in quite some time, was all manner of spectacular. And we were talking about this, Lucas and myself, this morning on our pre-show call. Basically, is this the most impactful performance of AJ's career? He's only 3 years in, right? He has plenty more opportunity to make plays in consequential games, to show out and show up when it matters the most. But it felt like, given all of the slop that we have watched in the last month of Titans football with this offense that just labors to move the ball between the 20s and then sabotages themselves when it comes to turnovers, that was not the case. And AJ felt like his moment to not correct all of their issues. But my God, did he make a big difference. 145 yards in that game, a touchdown, a career-high 11 receptions for AJ. He caught 8 passes on third down, just on third down. No NFL player has done that in the last 40 years, and it only goes back 40 because they only started keeping those numbers in 1978. This may be an unprecedented performance that we saw from AJ last night. So I'm curious to know from Titans fans, 615-737-1045, was that the most consequential performance of AJ Brown's career last night? Because it certainly felt like that to me. There were so many different ways where he impacted the game. Just having the threat of him out there with Julio Jones, even if Julio is not doing anything, not doing any of the things that you expect a future Hall of Famer at wide receiver to be able to contribute statistically. Let the statistics go. Let go and let football God at this point. You can't marry yourself to box score scouting that way. You have to recognize the impact of those players just when they're on the field, and then once they get the ball in their hands, then they're able to make plays. Then they're able to be a difference maker for their teams. And it just felt like a sigh of relief for Ryan Tannehill, who has suffered through so much inconsistency around him, so many different faces in the wide receiving core at this point. For AJ to be able to perform that way in that spot, I think that's his best performance to date. Now, that's something that we asked Mike Vrabel about last night. Titans head coach, Mike plays these things off, and normally he's more pissy after they win, which is always inexplicable to me. But we asked Mike Vrabel last night about what it was like to get A.J. Brown back, and he kind of said, yeah, that's what we expect him to do.
It's fantastic. We expect those things from A.J. But the guys, Aaron Brewer, Dylan Radins, this is, that's special. To be able to see guys that, walking up the ramp after the game and Dylan just being excited that he did some things to help his team win. And they battled, and Deontay and our runners, all those guys. But, we had 6 conversions of 3rd and 10 or more. Unfortunately, that's a lot of our own doing to get in that position. But, we can eliminate some of the mistakes, early on in offense. We can still do some things. Thought the staff did a great job as well.
Get that staff pub in there, Mike. Todd Downing needs some love today. My God, you all wanted him fired at halftime. Shut out by the San Francisco 49ers. And then all of a sudden you have an all-pro caliber wide receiver back in your ranks, and everything's fine. Todd Downing, Merry Christmas, Todd Downing. For your Christmas Eve present, you get A.J. Brown, 145 yards, 8 catches on third down, and a dub with a week, basically 10 days to rest. 615-737-1045 is the number. Shane is in Shelton. Wants to weigh in on Ryan Tannehill. Good morning, Shane.
Hey, Buck. Hi. honestly will have to say I am a longtime listener. Don't call as much as I probably can. Deliver mail every single day. But
love to hear.
I have a media question, possibly, that if you ever get to go to one of Ryan Tannehill's press conferences, or anybody that you know of that could go, ask him why in the world he does not run more. He rolled out of the pocket twice last night, and he had a fantastic run during the end of the game. Why can he not do that all the time instead of cowering when he sees pressure?
Cowering, Shane.
Cowering. Takes the hit when he sees a sack coming. I know he's got wheels. He can roll out of the pocket a little bit more.
Listen, I mean, it seems like, and I think that's a lot. I don't think it's an unfair question, right? Like, I feel like a lot of people are asking that question. Why does Ryan Tannehill look so much exponentially better when AJ's in the game as opposed to all these other dudes, right? And there's a variety of different layers to this. One, I thought that there was the ability for him to make plays on the run because guys were coming open for him after he was able to escape the pocket and extend the play. There were some moments, I know he took one egregious sack in particular that I mean, everybody in the press box screaming, throw it away, you idiot. You idiot. What are you doing? Or when he runs for 20-plus yards and he refuses to slide. He's the most stressful runner at the quarterback position in the entire NFL. I'm going to put my credibility on that, what little I have. But Ryan Tannehill, what is around him elevates him by leaps and bounds. Now, in a lot of cases, I feel like people look at the quarterback position and you say, all right, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, is Mac a Chiefs fan? He just pointed at his... Are you wearing Chiefs gear back there?
Mac is a noted Chiefs fan.
Red Friday.
Red Friday, he says.
He's also a Texas A&M fan.
Mac, do you have a Twitter handle?
I do.
What's your Twitter handle?
That's MacMaury25.
Say that again a little slower for the audience.
It's at MacMaury25.
All right, go ahead and drag him. Red Friday. Hell out of here. Shoot that in
Is
the
that a
sun.
thing? Is that what you say?
Every Friday.
Is that what you say?
That's what we all say. It's what the kingdom says.
The kingdom. Oh, God. What a mess. 27-3 in week 7, by the way. Titans and Chiefs. Tough scene. But I think that you look at the quarterback position, you look at Tom Brady, you look at Aaron Rodgers, you look at these greats, Mahomes included, even if he's not playing quite that well this year. You look at them to elevate everything around you and you say, all right, the quarterback is the reason that we are going to win games. And I think that in the case of the Tennessee Titans, the quarterback can be a big part of why you win games, of course, and turnovers can cost you the opportunity to win games. Ryan Tannehill has seen both sides of those things. The purpose of this roster construction is to elevate that quarterback to the best of his abilities. And that's what A.J. Brown does. And that's what Derrick Henry does when he's available. And Julio Jones when he's just out on the field, so a physical body has to cover him, even if you need to cover him in WD-40 to get him to run for a full quarter. Like, there's a lot of different stuff that goes into this, and I understand your frustration from the last 4 games of Tannehill to what you watched last night, and frankly, even in the first half. How many people, I mean, this is an audio medium, we're on video, but like raise your hand, not if you're in your car, 10-2, not if you're in your car, but raise your hand if you thought the Titans may end up getting shut out last night, because I was thinking about it in the press box. Lucas just raised his hand. Mac threw up a weak Red Friday finger.
Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson thought the same thing.
They were on the call. I heard they were pretty good. I haven't had a chance. I don't usually watch the TV copy with the volume up, but I heard they were good on the call last night. 615-737-1045. But here's what I'll say. I will hear no Ryan Tannehill slander today. I will not. You will not call into this radio show and slander Ryan Tannehill. You will not do it, or we will roast you on these airwaves because you're wrong. You're just wrong. Raymond is in Mount Juliet, up next on 104.5 The Zone. Good morning, Raymond. Merry Christmas.
Christmas to you, Buck. Hey, listen, I had to call back today. This is Raymond from the thriving metropolis of Mount Juliet.
Love it.
And, I called yesterday and sort of made the analogy between the Titans and 49ers and Alabama and Georgia. And as it proved out, nobody thought Alabama would win, and they did. Nobody thought the Titans would win last night, and they did. And I want to hear what you have to say about that, but I want to ask you one question before I go, and that is, do you know what you call a Christmas wreath made out of $100 bills?
A great Christmas, no?
Aretha Franklin's.
Boo! Boo! Terrible joke. Terrible joke. Raymond and Mount Juliet with the walk-off. Is Mac capable of hitting the sounds? Like, does Mac know how to use the soundboard?
Physically, I think he is capable.
Are we tempting fate? Mac, do you see Liam Neeson in front of you? Liam Neeson. All right, we're going to test this out, Mac. Godspeed. Liam Neeson. Was that a good... Oh, you blew it! You blew it!
Cut you off there.
You
Sorry.
blew it! What are you doing? Does not perform well under pressure on a Red Friday. Noted. In your attempt to take Lucas Panzica's job. Unacceptable.
Not going well.
Swing and a miss.
Let's try this again. Redemption. It's Christmas Eve. We get to play around a little bit today. Liam Neeson. Was that a good joke by Raymond and Mount Juliet?
No.
Very good. 615-737-1045. Trey is in Nashville up next. What's up, Trey?
Hey, what's up, bud? How you doing today? Merry Christmas.
I'm great, buddy. Merry Christmas to you.
Hey, I just wanted to give AJ some love. Man, you don't understand how hard it is, being from Mississippi. I'm from Mississippi, coming out of Mississippi. Your expectations is high. Everybody in your neighborhood expectations is high. And for AJ to come out there and did what he did last night, man, proves the kind of person that he is, it's on and off the field. And I also want to tell you, man, you're doing a great job. I remember following you on A to Z Sports. I saw you downtown working one day. I was like, yeah, this man right here, he going to make it. What happened? You made it, man. So Merry Christmas, and I'll see you on your podcast, and you have a good day.
I'll see you around, Trey. I appreciate the love, buddy. The A.J. Brown experience, it really did feel unique at Nissan Stadium. That was a rocking environment, by the way, 69,000 plus strong. Sellout crowd for Thursday Night Football. They had the Trans-Siberian Orchestra going at halftime. They had a bunch of, people in their 50s and 60s trying to figure out a YouTube video to get a part of the light show because they needed instructions. I'm taking a shot because my entire family is in the studio today, by the way, because this is the way that we have to spend Christmas because we work on Christmas. This is very, very unceremonious. There's no wreath. There's no tree. All I did is bring in a couple of bottles of booze to get Lucas and Mac drunk later after the show's done.
Do your loved ones know that you have to watch Colts and Cardinals tomorrow night on Christmas Day? It's always tough to break to people.
Well, thank you for breaking that news to them for me while we're sitting in the studio, so I'm sure that'll make for an uncomfortable ride home. Lucas Panzica, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to A.J. Brown talking about returning to play last night. Arthur Juan in his first game back in 3 games. After getting hurt against the Houston Texans, Ryan Tannehill has had 1 passing touchdown in the last 4 games with all of these turnovers that have plagued them. Last night he got a touchdown to A.J. Brown, and A.J. certainly felt the love.
I'm very grateful just to play football again. I tweeted, I miss playing football because I did, I was on the IR, watching the games, tough losses. It was tough to watch, so I know it was tough for our guys to be in those games and losing those big games. But it was tough for me just watching because, this is what I love to do. I really feel like this is my purpose of living, so it was tough.
I think he's got a higher purpose than just football. Just respectfully, AJ. Like, you got a lot more to live for than just football, buddy. But my God, is he good at that. He is great. He is unbelievably spectacular. And that was kind of the question around A.J. Brown, right? He's had 7, going into last night's game, he had 7 dropped passes that were on target from Ryan Tannehill. He led the team. And I was kind of curious to see, we've talked about the mental health stuff around A.J. Brown. He's been very public about his thoughts of self-harm last year and the way that he's able to kind of, found a way to get right. He's a father now. He has a higher purpose in his mind, and he's able, he has a great support system around him, and he seems to be really in a better mental spot. And then all of the things that were going into this season, and you combine that with the fact, okay, you got a nationally televised game. You're the only show in town. The entire country. Everybody was watching Titans and Niners because football is basically heroin in this country, and we all just can't get enough of it. Smack. Feed the addiction. You got everybody in the world watching Ryan Tannehill with A.J. Brown back. What are they going to look like? And then you get shut out in the first half. And all A.J. Brown does is do something that no wide receiver in the history of the sport has ever done. He accounted for 69% of their passing total last night. 8 receptions on third down, as we mentioned, a touchdown, and he threw Jimmy Ward, a grown-ass man, like a rag doll across the field before he scored that touchdown. He was incredible. And that's what it feels like to get playmakers back. My God, has it been a while. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk about this game. 20-17, Titans over the Niners on Thursday Night Football. A Christmas Eve edition of the Buck Reising Show. Your phone calls as well. You're going to hear from Mike Vrabel. You're going to hear from Kevin Byard. A lot of people that I had the opportunity to talk to after the game last night, and we'll get into it coming up next.
Tannehill would love to get a free 5 here as we're inside 10 seconds. He does get him to jump. It's a free play. Tannehill steps up, fires deep downfield, going for Brown. AJ's got it at the 30-yard line. Tannehill, the magic man, draws him on 3rd and 22, and then somehow, some way, is able to pick up 42.
Oh, Mike Keith. Now, even Mike Keith is working today. They are across the hallway from us in the Titans radio studio. Him and Amy Wells and Rhett Bryan grinding out an official Titans podcast for you guys on this Christmas Eve, because the grind never stops, ladies and gentlemen. 615-737-1045. Yeah, when's the last time we've seen a free play? Like Aaron Rodgers, that's one of the best things that he does. Draw you off sides and then get a free play down the field. Decline the penalty and take the yardage. I can't think of a time this season where I've seen that happen with Ryan Tannehill. Mike Vrabel spoke to that last night. He's like, yeah, that's probably something we ought to try or do more often. Probably something we don't incorporate nearly enough. Now, I don't know how much of that you game plan for. Like, I know in certain situational football elements, you can draw them off sides. You intend to draw them off sides on 3rd and short. Try and get some free yardage or a free first down. And if you get a free play out of it, gravy. But, I mean, for that, what was it? It was 3rd and 23?
Yep.
For 42 yards. God almighty. That, it made them feel like a legitimate threat again. I thought, I mean, and Mike is such a troll. Mike Vrabel is such a troll. Because he got on this whole thing where he kind of snorts at us at the press conference. He's like, yeah, we'll see where they've got us tomorrow. I think the funeral for the Titans was supposed to be today, maybe tomorrow. We're not dead yet. All right, Mike. He's right, though. He's right. They're finding life at exactly the right time with A.J. Brown. And, I mean, every day that passes gets closer to the return of Derrick Henry. Listen to Ryan Tannehill talk about what it meant to have A.J. Brown back in the lineup last night.
Oh, it's huge. You know, A.J. is a heck of a player. I have so much fun throwing the ball to him. He finds a way to get open. He's big. He's physical. He's great with the ball in his hands, and he makes plays on the ball. So he's everything you look for in a wide receiver, and I have a ton of confidence throwing the football. So no doubt it was great to have him back.
Yeah, it was great for everybody. It was great for people who enjoy watching football. I mean, between him, A.J. Brown, and Deebo Samuel, I don't know who I had more fun watching play football. You may despise the San Francisco 49ers. You may be glad that they lost. They took an L, that Jimmy G threw terrible interceptions, and that he allowed the Titans to get back in that game. But you cannot be a fan of football and not be a fan of Deebo Samuel's game. And so to see A.J. Brown and Deebo going back and forth that way, that was a fun. It wasn't a fun game in its entirety. It ended up being a tremendous game. But that second half was as much as I've enjoyed watching football, regardless of the teams, all season long. 615-737-1045. Forgive me if I botch this. Is it Owan in Houston? Up next on 1045 The Zone. What's up, Owan?
You botched it, but this is Omar from your A to Z.
Omar, all right. Listen, that's on Mac, all right?
Completely my fault.
I asked Mac, I said, because it says OJUAN on my call screener. I said, how the hell do I pronounce that name? He said his name is Owan. He said he's talked to you on Facebook. I said, I don't know an Owan, but we'll try it. Good morning, Omar. Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you, Buck. I just want to get your feel on what you feel like if we get all the way healthy in all the positions that we need. We see a David Long next to a Cunningham, a Chris Jones used in certain packages. Our offensive line all healthy. Do you think that we'll have a really good chance of winning a Super Bowl, maybe even the conference? And then, will Mike Vrabel look like a genius for resting people the way he rests people if we all healthy going into the playoffs?
I appreciate the call, Omar, and we'll see you on the primetime show. I'm not doing primetime until Sunday night, but we will take a look at where the Titans end up after this football weekend because, of course, the Colts and the Cardinals play the primetime game tomorrow night, and that outcome will affect the Titans' chances of clinching the division in Week 16. But here's what I'll say to you, all right? Let's take this piece by piece. Can they win a conference? Can they win the AFC? Can they win the Super Bowl? They are more than capable in this AFC of winning it. The AFC is a mess. You have 3 teams eliminated from playoff contention. Only 3. Texans, Jags, Jets. Everybody else has at least 7 wins on the season. Think about that. So can you be better than that muddled up middle of the pack? I mean, it's not even the middle of the pack. It's basically the entire conference, but 3 teams. Can you be better than them? I think yes. When you are right. Now, I don't know how much better, how much more healthy, how much they're going to be able to do in a short time span. I can't give you that answer. But with the talent on the field, even if it's only a third of it, last night, with AJ being the primary driver, the primary force, and Julio being there in a secondary role, he was limited to certain packages. It looked like he played a ton on third down, but, I mean, he wasn't in on the 2-minute drill. There was a lot of things that they were doing to manage Julio, and that kind of goes into Omar's point about Mike Vrabel managing injuries. I can't say that I don't trust anybody implicitly, except maybe Lucas, because Lucas basically controls my entire life professionally and has the ability to just train wreck me at any point.
It's in the palm of my hand.
Yeah. And I'm sure Mac is I'm sure you're enjoying sitting in here with me, and Mac is not enjoying sitting in your seat, because every screw-up that's probably my fault, I'm going to drag Mac for today. Merry Christmas. I don't trust anybody implicitly, really. But I trust Mike Vrabel a whole hell of a lot to know what he's doing. I trust this coaching staff to be able to devise a game plan that's going to put their talent in positions to succeed. And I really do trust Mike when it comes to injuries, because, like, here's the thing. How many questions, how many tweets, how many calls, how many comments on Zone TV's chat have we gotten about fire the entire Titans training staff? Get rid of the strength and conditioning coaches. Well, where was the commentary about what great work that they had done to get A.J. Brown ready to go for that game last night? There was none. It's a pretty egregious allegation. If you don't have proof, if you don't have institutional knowledge of what the training staff and strength and conditioning staff are doing to rehab these players, then you have no basis to accuse them of something that you have no idea if it's actually going on. Because when the good thing happens after a rehabilitation process and you get a result like A.J. Brown back better than he has ever been in a big spot, you don't hear praise for the training staff. The focus is on A.J. Don't be prisoner of the moment that way. Understand what's going on around you. And frankly, don't be so quick to jump on somebody's neck just because you desperately need somebody to blame. Let me do that. I got you. 615-737-1045. David is in, it doesn't say where David is at, but he wants to talk about A.J. Brown. Good morning, David.
Hello. You're such a great broadcaster. Thank you. To the question of the most impactful A.J. Brown game, which I think was the original question, I'd say tied for second. It was they beat the Texans when they had to win the division last year. He made some huge plays at the end of the year to get the division title last year. It was a big game as the Raiders. He went off on them. But I think the biggest impact one was the Colts game at Colts this year, because that game basically gave him he went off in that game, the second Colts game this year, which likely might be the difference in division and wild card.
Hey, it's a great point, David, and I really appreciate the call, because that's his last big performance, right, AJ? Because he got hurt against the Texans. He was only able to do so much. And I'll just pull up the box score on AJ from Indianapolis. Now, that game did go to overtime, so the stats may be slightly inflated by them just playing more football in that game back on Halloween. But A.J. Brown, when Derrick Henry couldn't give you what he normally does because he was continuing to play through that broken bone in his foot, A.J. had 10 catches, 155 yards, so 1 less reception, but 10 more receiving yards, and a touchdown. Divisional implications, they matter the most. They matter more than anything. What you do to get your team into the playoffs matters more than anything. If you're going to pick a game this season where you're looking at, okay, AJ performed so well on Thursday Night Football. But in a divisional game on, a noon CBS slate when not everybody is watching, was that the more impactful game for him long term? Was that the more impactful contribution? And I understand the point that David is making, and maybe I am what I hate. Maybe I'm being prisoner of the moment based off last night, but I just cannot help but think coming back from that injury in that moment, when all of the things were going wrong for Ryan Tannehill that you saw going wrong around him, that was not the thing that changed the game. That's not the thing that kept them alive, even if beating the Colts playoff-wise matters more. We'll continue to take your reaction on this Friday. Thursday Night Football, Titans over the 49ers, 20-17. Coach Dave McGinnis on this Christmas Eve is going to join us in the noon hour, by the way. Coach Mack never stops. He had his 100th game on Titans radio last night. So we're going to celebrate Coach Mack in the noon hour. But when we come back, we're going to continue talking about A.J. Brown. We're going to talk about this defense because we cannot leave them out. They made that comeback possible, that 17-point swing. We'll take your phone calls as well. Stay right there. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 11:03. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica, and Merry Christmas. The Titans trail 10-0 at half, but A.J. Brown's career-high 11 catches for 145 yards and a touchdown powered the Titans past the 49ers on Thursday Night Football.
Tannehill in the gun has Foreman on his left hip. Tannehill drops. Pressure coming. He fires downfield. Touchdown! Titans! Arthur! Brown! Welcome home!
Randy Bullock's 44-yard field goal in the final moments finished a 20-17 victory in Nissan Stadium. The Titans picked off Jimmy Garoppolo twice in the win, did not turn the ball over. They improved to 10-5 on the season. The next Colts loss or Titans win will clinch the AFC South. The Colts take on the Cardinals tomorrow on the road, part of a Christmas Day doubleheader. That kicks off at 7:15. Before that, Browns at Packers at 3:30. Both games will be live on the Zone, courtesy of Westwood One. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2 on this Christmas Eve. Lines are loaded. Everybody wants to talk about this Titans win over the 49ers at Nissan Stadium last night. Spicy. Buck Reising here with you until 1 o'clock. We got Lucas Panzica. We got Mac making it happen. Mac, what's your last name?
Maury. Mac Maury.
All right. And also his Twitter account. If you see him on Zone TV, he's wearing Chiefs gear. You may drag him if you wish.
We've learned like one new thing about Mac in each hour.
Well, this is how we get to know people, Mac.
Have something ready for hour 3, Mac.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, it doesn't matter if he has something ready. This is basically how I learned Lucas, like, as a human. This is how we get to know each other on this show. So
I just want to say for the listeners, for the record, not a bandwagon. Born and raised there, so I did not hop on here to the Mahomes train.
That's not going to matter. They're going to hate you
fair
anyway.
Enough. That's
They're going to hate you.
Whatever.
It's okay. Somebody's got to be the heel. It's usually me. I'm the hateable one.
Name 5 Chiefs quarterbacks.
Quickly. Fraud. 615-737-1045. Victory Friday? Question mark? Thursday Night Football. The AFC South is within the Titans' grasp, ladies and gentlemen. All they need is for the Colts to take a fat L on Christmas Day. Cards and Colts in Arizona, which, by the way, Arizona is not great at home. So it's entirely possible, based on what the Colts do well and that Cardinals defense, I think that matchup could favor Indianapolis. We'll see what that bears out and whether the Titans are able to clinch the South in Week 16.
They're 3-3 at home.
And they turn the ball over a lot more at home.
They've lost 2 in a row, too.
It's super bizarre.
Christian Kirk is their number 1 wide receiver right now.
DeAndre Hopkins done for the year. A.J. Green is unavailable at this point.
I'm not sure what his status is for tomorrow, but if he is, then they're in trouble.
And Rondale Moore hasn't had as great a rookie year as I really hoped he would. Now, to be honest, I haven't followed the Cardinals a whole lot since the Titans played them in Week 1, other than to catch one of their games every once in a while because they usually play in that late afternoon slate. But the Colts can do the Titans a favor by taking an L. What did A.J. Brown? I heard A.J. Brown was on NFL Network last night saying that he's praying for the Colts' downfall.
So the Colts are a good team, but I'm praying for their downfall.
Praying for their downfall. It's because he doesn't have to play them again this year.
I do think A.J. Green is a go tomorrow.
A.J. Green is a go tomorrow, but Christian Kirk is still their top option. So we will certainly be monitoring that over the weekend. Listen to so a lot of angst around this game yesterday, right? Because right after we got off the air, I went on Instagram and I was scrolling through the stories on my Instagram account, and I just happened to stumble onto Kendall Lamb's Instagram account announcing that the guy who was supposed to play left tackle, about 20 minutes after I wrapped up my radio show, he tested positive for COVID-19. So the whole offensive line situation, which was already in flux, was thrown up into an even worse spot. And so then Dylan Radins. It's your time to shine, big fella. Been a lot of questions about Dylan Radins in the last couple of weeks. Why can't the second-round pick see the field? And I have some numbers for you on him here in just a moment. But listen to the rookie last night when he met with the media. I basically asked him how he thought he held up, and this was the second-round pick.
Yeah, like I said before, the nerves. I mean, he's a great pass rusher. He's great on both sides. We knew he was going to flip and flop. We knew we were going to get help. So I had confidence in myself, confidence in my team. But yeah, like you said, it's Nick Bosa. I mean, he's a great one of the league's best pass rushers. So just being able to go up against him, I was grateful for it, and it was cool.
How did you feel like you did?
I feel like I did decent. There's obviously stuff to continue to improve on. Didn't feel like I did terrible. Obviously, the most important part is the team got out with a win, and I was able to fill that role. So.
Well, I can tell you that's Dylan Radin's last night. And listen, Nick Bosa is a tremendous player, and that 49ers pass rusher got after Ryan Tannehill at great length. But it wasn't because of Dylan Radin's. Now, I looked up the pressure stats on Pro Football Focus this morning. So he allowed 5 total pressures, Dylan Radins did last night. 1 sack, 3 hits, 1 hurry, accounting for those 5 pressures, which honestly, for a rookie who has not played, much less making his first career start against one of the top, I would say Nick Bosa is a top 3 edge rusher. And for Nick Bosa to have to switch sides in the middle of that game and be like, no, you know what's easier? David Quessenberry, the vet. And he did give Quess a harder time than he did Radins. But I could not have been more impressed with Radins, and I had a ton of skepticism about how he might perform last night. Came through with flying colors. 615-737-1045. Let's go to Jackie in Jamestown, who wants to weigh in on this game. Good morning, Jackie. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Matt. How's it going, man?
It's going great.
I was actually going to talk about Jackrabbit Jenkins, but you were talking about Ravens. I thought he played exceptionally well last night, man. I mean, they got a great front four that he was against, and he held up really well.
Well, and give me what you have on Jackrabbit, because I think we're gonna pivot to defense this hour too, because I got a lot of love for that defense last night.
I was going to say Jackrabbit earned his contract last night, man. If he hadn't have made that pick in the end zone, I feel like they score a touchdown there, that's a totally different game. That probably turns into a blowout because they were just going up and down the field until that point, and the Titans didn't do anything on offense in the first half. So.
Yeah, no, the defense kept him in that game. Thank you for the call, Jackie. 615-737-1045. I looked at that, and listen, the Jackrabbit experience has been up and down. He's missed a couple of games this season, but I don't disagree with that notion. If you can make that's his first pick on the season, right? And it came while the Niners were driving in the red zone. Now, they didn't make points off of that turnover specifically, but Jimmy G is now 1-6. The Niners are now 1-6 when Garoppolo throws one pick. And you could tell after that, after they got out of the scripted first drive that Kyle Shanahan and his staff had put together, Garoppolo did not look nearly as efficient, and you had him pressing. Amani Hooker made a great play on the football. I haven't heard Coach Dave McGinnis's call of that, but I can't wait to hear it when Coach Mack joins us at 12:20. The defense making plays, and they had a great game plan to keep the pressure off Garoppolo. I know Danico Autry had a sack. I think they ended up finishing, and I'm going to find that maybe, Lucas, if you could do me a solid and see how many sacks the Titans defense ended with. I know Autry had one for sure. I want to say there was one more in
2
there.
sacks.
Mac just held up a 2 for me. Mac, who had the second sack?
It was Bud Dupree.
Bud Dupree. But welcome back, Bud, by the way.
A sack in the last 2 games.
As your roster gets healthy. So for the Jackrabbit experience, I think the defense on the whole, they've been so good, guys. They are to have a defense like that, and just to be able to put together 20 points. 20 points is not going to, it's not going to beat the best teams in football. But if you've got a defense that can suffocate the opponent, can turn people over in the red zone. That's the first Titans red zone turnover all year long. For Jackrabbit to show up in that spot, I'm not saying it gets rid of all of the different issues that Jackrabbit's had up and down this season. And thank God the Jackrabbit was playing well, because Christian Fulton, I don't know what kind of cleats he was wearing, but he could not stay on his feet. That was tough.
By the way, Niners, best red zone offense in the NFL.
Tops. By a wide margin. And they tried to make their money last night. They had Ayuk running wide open in the back of the end zone. They had a great first scripted drive for a touchdown. Debo is just an unholy monster of a football player. And not a wide receiver, not a running back, but a football player. Out of here, Sean Payton with Taysom Hill as the ultimate football player. No. that distinction belongs to Deebo Samuel, because even in a loss, I could not have been more impressed with that guy last night. Tony is in Nashville up next on 104.5 The Zone. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning. How are you doing today, Buck?
I'm
Merry
great, buddy.
Christmas to you and your family and The Zone and Cumulus and everybody out there.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, so a couple of things, man, I wanted to shout out. Obviously, good thing that the Titans won. Really happy that we got the victory. But kind of looked like crap in the first half yesterday. My big question is, what in the heck are we doing running halfback draws on 3rd and 15, especially early on in that game?
Oh, yes, the surrender runs. Surrender runs.
I mean, it's just, that's exactly what it is. I mean, and they did it later in the game too, Buck, as well. I think it was like a 3rd and 22 when they ran a little draw back up the middle, and I think it ended up going for 7, but it was still, it still wasn't great. I'm just really glad the Titans won, man, because I saw them backing themselves out this weekend, and I didn't think they were going to beat San Francisco, but it gives me a little bit of hope. And all Titans fans can do this. They say, well, in the AFC, everything is so tight. You don't have the margin for error is very low. But the Titans are still in the number 1 seed conversation. So Merry Christmas for that. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks so much, Tony. Merry Christmas to you as well. Let's listen to Ryan Tannehill talking about those first half frustrations, and then I'll address the surrender runs, as I've dubbed them. This was the quarterback last night.
Yeah, we did some good things. We just weren't consistent enough, Had some conversions, had a couple drives moving a little bit. We just weren't able to sustain and get down into the scoring range. So, it felt like we were close. I never felt like we were a long way off or we were beating our heads against the wall or anything. I felt like we were close. We just needed to make a play. Get some points on the board, and then we'd be rolling.
Ryan Tannehill speaking with the media. When we come back, I'm going to talk about those surrender runs, because we've asked Mike Vrabel that question before, and we don't have the audio of it for you today, but I'm going to explain to you exactly what he means and what their thought process is behind it. We're going to focus on Todd Downing, by the way, in the noon hour before Coach Dave McGinnis joins us, because let me see if I got the Twitter handle right. I have Chris Bird at Roosterboy1976 tweeting me and saying, you also wanted Downing gone last night. That's why I called y'all out last night. There is more to a game than one half. I do not recall ever calling for the job of Todd Downing, but we will address that in the noon hour. Your phone calls coming up next. You're going to hear from Kevin Byard. You're going to hear from A.J. Brown, Mike Vrabel as well. Stick around if you want to jump in. 615-737-1045 is the number on this Christmas Eve. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone. I don't hate Christmas music, but I'm not an overwhelmingly big fan of it. I don't hate this, though. What is this, Mac? I kind of like this.
This is Merry Christmas, Mary Jane by Katie Pruitt.
Are you Mac?
I picked this song, so I took the liberty.
He took he owned it. It's fine.
So Luke,
adding it to the Buck Reising Show playlist now.
All right, listen, Mac's doing your grunt work today. The least that you can let him do is answer a question. Back to the shadows. I swear to God, nothing. My laugh is super annoying. Like, I sound like Julia Child when I get real worked up and I start laughing. Like, it's a very, very bizarre phenomenon that happens with my laugh. I honestly think Lucas's laugh, just insidious snickering behind the scenes, I think that makes the aesthetic of the show because it means that I've done something stupid or that Lucas has done something stupid, and so we're having a good time.
We need that sort of maniacal vibe in the morning, so that's perfect.
Well, this is the middays. There are no rules. So I want to talk about whether listen, I don't think it has to be one thing or another. I don't think we can say, did the 49ers choke or did the Titans win the game? The Titans won the game, and I think the 49ers choked last night. Both things can be so. And I think that when you go down, we talked about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's 1-6 in games where he throws an interception this season. Not good. He has struggled mightily when he gets taken out of rhythm. He does not move overtly well. He is not a mobile quarterback. They scheme things well to move the pocket around him. It seems every 49ers play was like a 5-yard pass. Well, that's not true. They had a couple of passes down the field. But I felt like every time they had one of their skill position players with the ball, there's just a wall of giant human beings blocking down the field for them. Like Kyle Shanahan's ability to get not just the playmakers out in space, but the linemen out in space. So you just got a wall running at your DBs. On the opposing side, I loved Kyle Shanahan's game plan until Jimmy botched it. Just aesthetically, not rooting one way or the other. But I do think Garoppolo choked last night, and I think it's in big part because the Titans defense made him. There were a lot of great plays all over the field. Now, I don't know that they won the game. I don't know that they win the game if Amani Hooker doesn't make a great play on the ball. I don't know that they win the game if Jack Rabbit Jenkins doesn't force the first turnover in the first half, even if they don't score points off of it. Of course, the Titans did score points off Amani Hooker's interception. And when we talked to Kevin Byard last night about the defense rising to the occasion, you could really feel how much intensity that they have brought over the last couple of weeks. And I'm going to give you a great stat I saw on Twitter last night about this defense right after you hear from KB.
No, I think going to this game, obviously, and I told y'all guys last week, we feel like as a defense, we kind of want to carry the torch. We want to bring the energy, kind of set the tempo. Obviously, their first 15, Shanahan's a great coach. He ran some really good plays, kind of had us on our heels a little bit. But Jack Rabbit, honestly, he kind of quieted everything down, got the interception. And after that, we kind of settled down as a defense. We was flying around, making plays. And obviously, after halftime, just kind of the message in the locker room was that, hey, even pregame, we was like, man, we got to make this thing gritty. Take this thing to the fourth quarter. We get to the fourth quarter, we can win the game. So that was kind of the message at halftime. Like, hey, we got them right where we want them. Let's keep playing, keep fighting, keep wearing them down.
What is it about this team, Kevin? It seems like it always kind of rises to the occasion when people, kind of doubt you and want to count you out.
Yeah, man. We don't really pay attention to the doubters. We understand. It's been like that since I've been here. We don't pay attention to that type of stuff. We just play our brand of football. We do what we do. And like I said, we want to play games gritty. We want to get games gritty, make it close, get it to the fourth quarter, and we'll wear guys out that way. That's how our offense is built and our defense, man. I'm just so proud of the guys. Amani got his first pick of the year. Jack Rabbit got his first pick. Guys are flying around. We was punching the ball out. We didn't recover any, but turnovers on fourth down, just big time effort from the defense.
Massive play by the defense last night. And I saw this tweet from Jonathan Hutton. The Titans defense has allowed on average just 18 points per game in their last 9 games and just 12 points per game in their last 3. They are playing lights out in the red zone and playing exceptional defense even when the turnovers put them in disadvantageous field position circumstances. This Titans defense is special right now, and it starts up front. Let's go to Tino in Bellevue, who wants to weigh in on this Christmas Eve.
Yes, I just had 2 statements and 2 questions, and then I'll hang up and listen.
All right, Tino, I'm going to limit you to 1 each. 1 question, 1 statement, because I got a bunch of people on the line.
Okay. Well, the one statement was, I just want to say I appreciate you guys calling out the OC for being suspect, and I think it would have went under the radar as well as Tannehill and Brown played, and nobody else would have said anything about it. So I appreciate that. That's the statement. The question is, I wonder why don't we play Tannehill out of shotgun more often? It seems to me he does better out of shotgun, and I just want to get your thoughts on that, and I'll hang up and listen. Hey, I appreciate it. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Tino. We appreciate the call. 615-737-1045. Did we call out Todd Downing? Maybe Jason did this morning. I didn't call out Todd Downing. In fact, I'm getting ready. Well, I'm going to save it for noon, basically. But I think there's a lot about the offense last night that just came down to the players executing as opposed to what Todd was calling. Now, what I wanted to talk about, because Tony called earlier about the surrender runs, Mike Vrabel has talked about the surrender running before, right? They feel that they are going to be able to get yardage consistently even if they're running on 3rd and long, 2nd and long. There were a bunch of 2nd and 18s, inexplicably, in the first half of that football game, and several times on 2nd 18, they ran the ball. And a lot of times I'm just sitting there slamming my head into the desk at my spot in the press box because I'm like, why do you insist on surrender running? Maybe that's the call out that Tino was referring to. But Mike does believe, or at least in the last couple of months, because it's not like they were doing that with Derek and with AJ and even with Marcus Johnson when he's available. They feel like they are able to consistently make plays in their ground game enough to put them in advantageous field position. Because at this point, especially with as tight as these games have been, Mike Vrabel's playing on 4 downs a lot more often than you think he is. Something to keep in mind about where this Titans offense is right now, or where it has been. Because as long as AJ's healthy, I think you can continue to expect what that kind of looked like in the second half last night. Taylor is in Green Hills, wants to talk about Ryan Tannehill. Good morning, Taylor. Taylor? I hear Taylor's phone. I hear Taylor's... okay, we're going to drop Taylor. I actually got a call from a Taylor during the commercial break. Something I got to return here in just a second. Let's try Lebowski up next on 104.5 The Zone. Good morning. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas. I love to see Lucas moving on the other side of the glass. I suspect by June, Buck, you're just going to be back in the corner laughing like the John Boy and Billy show. You're not going to get airtime anymore. Boy's just going to take over.
Sitting shotgun.
I got to point out Zach Cunningham. Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, pointed out and had a great video of his play last night. Just nasty. Speed and violence coming around, especially his tackle on Brandon Ayuk where he lost a helmet, but just nice contribution. And if that little flash picture of how he played last night is how he's going to perform for the Titans going forward, I mean, you got to be excited about that. This unit was already playing well. Now you add Cunningham to that piece, and if that's any kind of indication, you've got a great, great future with this team. I love seeing it. Zach Cunningham is the one I wanted to point out. I got to talk about that man today.
Without question. I appreciate the call, Lebowski. 615-737-1045. Yeah, Brian Baldinger of the NFL Network put out this morning a couple of highlights of Zach Cunningham. That's what Lebowski is referencing. It's on Baldinger's Twitter account. And he says, Zach Cunningham, hard not to notice his immediate impact on the Titans' defense and the speed and violence in how he plays. He goes through a couple of plays. And then our buddy Larry Leathers, who was the SID at Vanderbilt for a long time and who, of course, was the administrator in charge of the football program while Zach Cunningham was playing on West End, says that he tweeted us this morning, playing behind that underrated Titans front, Zach Cunningham is at his best, instinctively attacking the football. Few linebackers are better going sideline to sideline with punch. We'll talk about the defense more later. Lucas has breaking news.
Jim Wyatt, just seconds ago, the Titans have placed left tackle Taylor Lewan on the team's reserve COVID list. They have also activated wide receiver Des Fitzpatrick from the COVID list, along with practice squad defensive back Jamal Carter.
All right, so that's 3 offensive linemen on the COVID-19 list.
Saffold, Lewan, and who's the third?
Kendall Lamb.
Lamb, that's right.
Kendall Lamb. Okay, something to keep an eye on. COVID is clearly going to have an impact on the results across the league right now. Titans have been fairly fortunate, at least as far as the targeted testing is concerned, right? Because they're not testing them unless they display symptoms or unless they are reporting symptoms. So that has mitigated the outbreak of such things.
But Lawan was dealing with the back, too, all week, right? That's not why he missed the game.
Correct.
Saffold was a full participant all week.
Roger was going to play until he got placed on the COVID list. Kendall Lamb was going to play until he got placed on the COVID list. It was my understanding that Taylor, with the back issues that he was having, he just simply wasn't able to get out there and block anybody. And I think you could tell in that Pittsburgh game, he was hurting early on and didn't allow a pressure in that game against the Steelers. So good on Lawan, but I don't think it would have been a good idea to put him out there before he was ready last night. And now it seems like he'll have additional time to recover.
Is it fair to say that timing has been somewhat fortunate for this team? Kevin Byard, the bye week, Lawan Saffold on a long week after Thursday Night Football?
I would say to you, I mean, timing, all of this, so much of this comes down to luck. Like so much of football comes down to luck. For as much time as we spend doing the analysis on a day-to-day basis, week in, week out basis, minute by minute on social media, like it's all become super microwave, but there's so much chance involved in this. It has worked out beneficially the way that their bye has come with the injuries that they had, the way that they now have extended time to rest people, because you'll remember Kevin Byard was placed on the COVID list right after the Patriots game when they went on their bye, was able to return. Kevin didn't miss a game. So you hope, you hope that they're all feeling well, and our thoughts and concerns to Taylor, Roger, Kendall Lamb, everybody who's dealing with this, even if they're not, and some of them I'm sure are dealing with this without reporting it, which is a different circumstance entirely. But it's not beneficial for anybody to get sick. But if you had to have it happen, this allows them a mini bye to get their bodies right. Troy is in Nashville up next on 104.5 The Zone, wants to talk about this game. Or excuse me, Tom. I apologize. Good morning, Tom. Tom, you got me? Tom does not have me. Shame. So we'll go to Troy instead. Hello, Troy.
Hey, Buck. Good listening to you, man. I enjoy your show.
Thanks so much.
I had just a comment on the game last night. All the players played well in the second half, defense, offense, Tannehill. But who won the game for the Titans?
Who won the game for the Titans? I would say I would say Amani Hooker and A.J. Brown won that game.
Jimmy Garoppolo?
Well, yeah, Jimmy did.
What about Randy Bullock?
Well, you know what? Hey, Troy, you know what? That is the most egregious mistake I have made in the, 9 months I've been on the air on this radio station? Thank you, Troy. Randy Bullock was the hero of last night's game.
Yeah, he's my hero.
Amen. Merry Christmas. There was a Randy Bullock chant. There was a chant in Nissan Stadium for a kicker. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a chant after all of the bad field goal kicking that we have seen in the last couple of weeks or in the last couple of years for the Titans? A kicker with a game-winning kick on the line. That is the biggest. I think that's the biggest professional mistake I've ever made is forgetting Randy.
On the anniversary of his father's death.
Do we have that audio?
I know. I did not have time to clip that audio.
Okay. Yeah, it was. I mean, he lost his father, I believe he said back in 2004, but that was the exact date. And he spoke to us in the press conference last night. They brought him to the podium. And Randy was clearly emotional. Tannehill got it to the right hash for him as time was winding down. Randy, it squeaked in there from an angle, but Randy had it figured out. Randy Bullock, you put some respect on his name. Titans legend forever and ever, amen. Randy continuing to come through in the clutch. It's a really, it is probably the most underrated part of their season is the fact that they consistently have a field goal kicker that they can rely upon. What a difference that makes, right? Adam is in Laverne up next on 104.5 The Zone. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning. Last segment, you read the stat line for Dylan Raditz.
Mm-hmm.
Do you actually think a healthy Taylor Lewan stat line would have sounded any better than that one did against that defensive line? Personally, I do not.
You know, Adam, and listen, I saw my buddy Austin Stanley at A to Z Sports, and I'll pull up the exact because he did have a stat about how many games the Titans have played without Taylor Lewan this season and what their record is in those games. I don't know, right? Lewan didn't play, so I don't know what his stat line would have been. I can't tell you. I mean, so I'll read the numbers again for people who weren't listening last segment, because this is radio and people get in and out of their cars all the time. For Dylan Radins, last night, according to Pro Football Focus, there were 5 total pressures allowed. He gave up 1 sack, 3 hits, 1 hurry. So that accounts for the 5 pressures. Now, it is worth noting, this was against a different defense. Last Sunday, Taylor Lewan, dealing with a back injury, was the only offensive lineman to not allow a single pressure. They are a better football team with Taylor Lewan than without Taylor Lewan. I would say that emphatically 10 times out of 10. I don't know if Taylor would have had a better game against the 49ers. I know that Dylan Radins had a good game in his first career start, and he deserves all the credit in the world for that. But these are the numbers, because this is going to be a conversation about the offseason. Do you keep Lewan? Do you keep his salary? Do you keep Saffold? And do you keep his salary? Austin tweeted out, Austin Stanley, at Austin Stanley81, it's crazy, but the Titans are 4-0 this season without Taylor Lewan starting. They keep finding ways to win without their best players. Titans were 5-0 with Lewan in 2020 and 6-6 without him. Austin, poses his own theory. Maybe the coaching staff learned something from last season. I don't know whether the coaching staff learned something or not. I don't know if Dylan Radins just happened to show up in a big spot and handled Nick Bosa well. I don't know if Taylor Lewan would have done it better. I don't know if Taylor Lewan would have done it worse. All I know is that as you get closer to the financial part of things this offseason, that's going to be a massive conversation that we have around one of their most, he just played in his 100th career game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Taylor Lewan is the foundational piece of this whole era of Titans football. Think about it. Taylor Lewan was drafted here before Marcus Mariota, and everything around Taylor at the left tackle position has been built up to make this a successful football team. So to diminish Taylor, I think, is wrong to do. But it is going to there's already a conversation being had in that building about whether that player is disposable for the price point. And I don't know. Dylan Radins, that's a 1-game sample size. Don't freak out, right? No recency bias. 1-game sample size. But I do think that Taylor is still, when he's right, when he's out there, consistently one of their best players on the football field. It's just the issue this year, and it's the most important issue in football. He's not been available consistently. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk about this game. We will get into more Zach Cunningham stuff, and Lucas is going to give us an update on where the games will go this weekend between the Colts and the Cardinals, the Patriots and the Bills. The Chiefs play the Steelers. All 3 of those games will have playoff implications for the Titans. Lucas Panzica will give us an update on that. Coming up next, your phone calls as well. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Merry Christmas. Ooh, this I can do. Is this the king? This little BB King?
Yes, sir.
Feels good in my soul. We're happy to have you here with us on this Christmas Eve. Coach Dave McGinnis, he's going to join us at 12:20 because the grind never stops. I'm looking at Mike Keith. I'm looking at Amy Wells. I'm looking at Rhett Bryan. I'm looking at Mac Morey. I'm looking at Lucas Panzica. I know Jason Martin did 4 hours. I mean, I know Schaefer was here with him, but like J-Mart did 4 hours solo this morning. I don't know what the hell happened to Ramon because he was on 3HL. Do we have any idea what happened to Ramon?
He was here.
He was here this morning?
Yeah, there was a cardboard cutout.
But that's a tough scene. So we're happy to be here with you. And it's obviously an exciting time to be having this conversation because the Titans now have double-digit wins. Ryan Tannehill is now one of 3 Titans-Oilers quarterbacks to string together back-to-back double-digit win seasons. This is not an easy feat that this quarterback has accomplished. He has been super effective. I just waved at somebody, Lucas, that I had no idea who that was. Do we have any idea?
Yeah, it's Brian. Works at a country station.
Okay. Well, I thought that was Mickey Ryan with his daughter. I just waved at them vigorously walking by our studio, and I'd never seen those people in my life.
That's Brian with his daughter, Mackenzie.
Okay. Merry Christmas, Brian Mackenzie. I'm very sorry, Brian. I'm Merry Christmas to you as well. Hello, Mackenzie. I don't know what's happening. This is very disorienting to all of us. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in on the conversation. I said Mackenzie, and she looked at me like, that's not my name. Are you sure that's her name?
She was startled that you knew her name.
Listen, it's because I got great people around me to make me sound like I know what I'm doing. That's the whole premise of the show. I don't actually know anything. It's just Lucas and Mac feeding me stuff. And maybe you're on to that gig after, what have we been on there, 9 months? Oof. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Merry Christmas.
But with all of that, Lucas, before we go back to the phones, well, actually, let's get Jeff in Spring Hill in because he's been waiting patiently. Let's get Jeff in, and then we'll update everybody on the games that they need to be watching this weekend. Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, good morning, Buck. How you doing today?
I'm great, buddy.
Hey, man, long-time fan. Me and my brother been having a debate. He called earlier, and he said that Troy, he called in, he told us about Randy Bullock. Yeah, Randy's a good kicker. I mean, we can't keep living and die with this guy, man. Like I was telling the guy earlier, I mean, look, he barely squeaked that one in. When are we going to learn that, hey, Tannehill, it's got to be a clock in your head to know when to get rid of that ball and quit doing this stuff, man, and taking these sacks and putting us in these dangerous situations. I'm a long-time fan of the Titans. I love them, go all the way back to Earl Campbell days. So I'm trying to figure out, when is Vrabel just going to say, hey, quit playing? Dude, the Titans, we got the best team in the world, but we're going to let every team hang around instead of putting the nail in the coffin, just like Pittsburgh. We should have put the nail in the coffin on Pittsburgh, but we didn't do it, Buck.
Hey,
what's going on with them?
Jeff, let me hang with me for 1 second because I'm going to who do you think got rid of the ball quicker last night, Jimmy G or Ryan Tannehill?
Man, well, you know, last night, Jimmy G, because he throwing it to the wrong person.
Here's the numbers, and I appreciate the call, Jeff. Listen, Randy can only make the kicks when they put him in a position to make the kicks. It's a part of the football game. You can't win everything scoring points, as the Titans offense has shown you in the last couple of weeks. Sometimes you just have to give it up to the kicker. And bless Randy Bullock's heart, he has been there multiple times this season since he was first on this roster against the Seattle Seahawks, and he made a game-winning kick there too. Remember, Mike Vrabel said it best. Jesus, take the wheel is how you feel about the kicker in that situation. And Jesus and Randy and the Christmas spirit, Kris Kringle, ho, 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 Jimmy G's got picks for everybody under the tree, under the mistletoe. It's beautiful. And Randy, he doesn't drill it, but they put it on the right hash for a purpose. Ryan Tannehill rushed or took a loss. I think he kind of knelt down on the right hash because they asked Randy, hey, where do you want it? And that's where Randy wanted it. So the kicker put himself in a position to make that kick based on the conditions in Nissan Stadium last night. You have to give him credit for that. And honestly, it's the biggest mistake that I've made today is not giving Randy more credit. My God. But I asked Jeff who got rid of the ball faster last night, Jimmy G or Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill his average time to throw this season has been 2.65. He got rid of the ball in 2.59 seconds on average last night. He was dealing. And a lot of the reasons why we're talking about Dylan Radunz favorably today is because they helped with tight ends. They got rid of the football quickly. They were not going to put him in a lot of positions to be a hazard to that quarterback and pass protection, and it worked. It worked a lot better in the second half than it did in the first half, but it worked. So all of the criticisms about Ryan Tannehill and the clock in his head, he did better than Jimmy G last night. He's done pretty well all season. 2.65. I mean, Roethlisberger is doing ridiculous things this year as far as just like the ball hits his hands from the center, and whether he chest passes it like the Dr. Pepper tuition challenge, or whether it just hits him in the hand and he just quickly flicks it out to the running back on a flare pass. Like, Roethlisberger is averaging 2.3 seconds. Nobody is doing that. Nobody is doing that quickly. That's the lowest in the league. 2.65, it's among the lowest in the league. He can't do much better than that. He has to be able to see something in front of him and then throw the football. I did think he took one, certainly, egregious sack last night because it looked like he froze up a little bit. He's not perfect, right? That's the whole conversation around Ryan Tannehill. He's not perfect, but he's damn good enough. He just needs help. God forbid. He needs help. Hassan is in Smyrna, wants to talk about this game.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Caller.
Appreciate that.
I've got a unique story to tell. I mean, some might find it interesting, some might not. Me and my wife were walking down the sidewalk before the game, and we come upon the Pinnacle Bank bus. And they were handing out candy canes, and I've got a little beef with Pinnacle, so I wasn't going to take the candy cane. And there was an African-American lady there, real nice. She looked at me and she said, "Take the candy cane." I said, "All I want is for my Titans to win tonight."
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Take the candy cane, third quarter. So I took the candy cane, stuck it in my pocket, and almost threw it away. And we get to the third quarter, and I'm holding this candy cane. And I look at my wife. I said, "Here's the candy cane."
That's right.
And she laughed all night long, man. And I just want to say, whoever that lady was, kudos to you. I call her the Titan Fairy. So if she's listening, great. It may put some belief in it, but it was just amazing and, a good feeling. So.
Hey, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I'm sure that candy cane was disgusting after spending 3/4 in your pocket, but that's awesome.
I didn't eat that still. I'm going to frame it.
Merry Christmas, Hassan. We appreciate the call.
Merry Christmas. I love listening to you guys.
Thank you very much. The Titans Fairy. Third quarter candy canes for everybody. You heard of rally caps. You heard of terrible towels. Titans have Christmas candy canes. Making believers out of everybody. When we come back, we're going to talk. I want to talk about Todd Downing because in the first half it was fire Todd Downing, and then it was as loud as it's ever been through 2 quarters of football, as loud as it's ever been this season. And then in the second half, all that went away. We're going to talk about Todd Downing coming up next. If you want to weigh in on the Titans offensive coordinator, 615-737-1045. Coach Dave McGinnis is also going to join us on this Christmas Eve at 12:20. Final hour. It's next. Oh, man, it's the final hour. I feel like I was just getting settled in on this Christmas Eve. Welcome back. Welcome in. If you're just now joining us, Buck Reising here with you until 1. Hope you're having a fantastic holiday. Hope you're excited and enjoying a big win in the second half for the Tennessee Titans. Well, not just in the second half. They won the game. It's okay. Hey, Mac, you can let that music run a little longer. I don't mind. You gotta give me a little ebb and flow, baby. Mac is here. Mac Morey behind the glass. Lucas Panzica is here. You're hosting Blaine and Mickey today, no?
Hanging out with Alex Apple from 1 to 3.
Okay.
We'll talk to you at 1:20.
Will you?
Yes.
It's the first I'm hearing of this.
It's Friday.
I don't know that you're going to hear from me today at 1:20.
Really?
I don't know that, no.
Well, I'm going to call you.
Well, I may or may not be on Do Not Disturb. Merry Christmas. Howdy ho. So I guess I'm on Blaine and Mickey or Alex and Lucas or whatever the hell we're calling it. Before we go back to the phones, because the lines are loaded, and I want to talk about Todd Downing, because there was a ton of criticism for Todd Downing. I think there will continue to be a ton of criticism for Todd Downing. It seems like Titans fans have found 2021's version of Shane Bowen. And I want to kind of peel back the layers on that a little bit. But first, I want to have Lucas update us on the games that are going to happen this weekend and how they will impact the Titans, because technically, God help us, the 1 seed is still in play.
It's been quite a pendulum swing over the last 10 days.
It's very stressful.
1 seed in play. Oh, God, just make the playoffs. Hang on to the AFC South. Okay, back in it for the 1 seed. Titans are one of 2 AFC teams now to get to 10 wins. Obviously, the Chiefs are 10-4, who the Titans have the head-to-head matchup with. By the way, that loss by the 49ers clinches the playoffs for the Cowboys. So Dallas and Green Bay are the only 2 teams that have clinched playoff berths so far. The obvious answer is Indianapolis and Arizona. Indy on the road at the Cardinals, 7:15 kickoff tomorrow. By the way, that game right here on 104.5 The Zone, part of the Christmas Day doubleheader, will be preceded by Browns and Packers at 3:30. You can hear both games right here, courtesy of Westwood One. So that's first and foremost, right? You clinch the AFC South if the Colts fall to the Arizona Cardinals, who are without DeAndre Hopkins, who have struggled at home this year and who have lost back-to-back games. Otherwise, you've got the Patriots taking on the Bills. Second matchup in that AFC East game. 2 weeks ago was that 3-pass attempt record-breaking performance by Mac Jones and the Pats. The Patriots won in the freezing winds of Highmark Stadium. So Patriots taking on the Bills. You could argue that's more important than looking at Steelers and Chiefs, because the Steelers on the road at Arrowhead, Titans have that head-to-head against the Chiefs. You could really use a Buffalo win in Gillette Stadium on Sunday. It's Colts falling to the Cardinals is the first and foremost priority to clinch the division, but even a Titans win at any point down the stretch will clinch that, right? Titans, you beat the Texans.
Yeah.
You just don't get swept by the Houston Texans and you win the AFC South.
Don't get swept by the Houston Texans, who are only one of 3 teams that have been eliminated from postseason in the AFC. You get swept by I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get dragged for it, but I'm going to say, solely for comedic purposes, for my comedic purposes, I don't think anybody listening to this would find this funny, and I don't necessarily know that I would find it funny if it affects my ability to cover the playoffs. But if the Titans right now got swept by the Texans, I feel like that would be kind of funny.
I mean,
I feel like that would be a little funny.
It's not out of the realm of possibility, right? Like, nobody can sit here and say there's no way that happens.
They're so bad. And they were not that good. The Titans just happened to be worse at that game at Nissan Stadium. Now, I have no idea whether they'll get swept by the Texans, but I do think there would be some comedic elements to that. So a lot of interesting games. Of course, Saturday Night Football, the first up between the Colts at the Cardinals. That will give you the AFC South. All Indianapolis has to do at this point is take that L. But I want to focus in on Todd Downing for a segment before Coach Mack joins us. What Todd Downing is this season, I don't know that I have a full measure of it. I see a lot of the same concepts that Arthur Smith likes to run. I see a lot more of the passing game incorporated with the running backs as opposed to the tight ends. That's probably the biggest difference I notice between what Art liked to call play calling tendencies. A lot more screens, or at least a lot more successful screens under Todd Downing this year than there were under Arthur Smith last year. That's just from an observation standpoint. Flow of the game, or understanding flow of the game as far as play calling is concerned, That seems to be the biggest criticism of Todd Downing. And I don't disagree in moments, but I do also think that there was I did not hear one fire Todd Downing tweet, or did not see one fire Todd Downing tweet in the second half of that game when the players were executing, as opposed to the first half, when it's as loud as I've ever heard the calls for that man's job. I don't know that Todd Downing is a great coordinator. Arthur Smith was. It's a tough act to follow, especially when you know that the offense looked and scored and played the way that it did a year ago, and you've been limping across the finish line with this group. 20 points seems like a great victory. No? That 6-game streak that they were on, that 6-game win streak that they had earlier in the season, that they were scoring 31 points per game. I did not hear complaints for Todd Downing's job then. When all the injuries happened and they were averaging 15 points in their last 4 prior to last night, that was a situation where, because of the injuries, you saw things start to swirl, at least in the social media echo chamber around Todd again. And then in the second half, it was gone. It just evaporated. There was nothing there. And so I don't know why the passion about Todd Downing's job is so high, other than we just went through this with Shane Bowen last year, right? You just want a face you can point the finger at and say, that guy sucks. He's the problem. Get him out of here. And I'm not saying that he's great. I'm saying that he's good enough, and that I think that if you are thinking that way, I would ask you to take a step back. I would ask you to take into consideration that the same issues that Ryan Tannehill has when the personnel is lacking around him, I would imagine that applies to Todd Downing too. And 20 points does not seem like a lot, and 20 points will not be enough as we get closer to the better teams in the postseason for the Titans. But 20 points felt like a great victory last night. If you're a Titans fan, I'm certain. And how much more room they have to grow and how much things change when Derrick Henry gets back, Todd Downing has found ways to replace the running game almost entirely outside of the red zone production without Derrick. Again, not perfect, but I don't think it's a fireable offense. Perhaps you disagree. 615-737-1045. Let's go to Steve in Franklin, who wants to talk about the Titans OC. Good morning, Steve. Steve, you got me? Steve does not have me. Let's go to Peter up next on 104.5 The Zone. Hello, Peter.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy.
I would say Tannehill's player of the game was because Thursday night game, one of the biggest games coming up, playing the 49ers, so big of a game. He's got to be on top of this game. He comes out second half. We have a holding penalty or something, jump off sides or something, 20 yards, third down. He throws a completion. He does that drive. He has third down and long. Has about 3 of them, and he completes passes and then in that drive and goes on to score. He carried the team in the last drive on his legs. It wasn't for that 30-yard run, for his legs. He just carried the team all the way. Number one, I know a lot of people helped him, and we got the kicker, and we got a lot of people, the pass interceptions and everything, but he's the one that had to carry the team. He's the people that everybody looks to. If he lost the game, we would be blaming him.
Sure.
Since he's won the game, we got to give him the credit because he carried the team. No doubt. It's no doubt he carried the team.
Thanks so much for the call, Peter. He made some incredible throws. I counted at least 4 throws from Ryan Tannehill, a lot of them in the direction of A.J. Brown, who had a career-high 11 receptions last night, where I just looked at that and I said, wow, was that was on the A.J. touchdown pass? That was a laser he ripped in there. So much more confidence when you can trust the skill position player on the other side. And, I mean, the protection, it wasn't great. He got sacked 5 times last night. So he was under duress yet again. But when you talk to Ryan Tannehill about, what it's like to have just A.J. Brown back in the lineup We played this clip for you earlier, but listen to the Titans starting quarterback talk about what it means to have that player on the field, number 11, and understand that he can come up with big-time plays.
Oh, it's huge. AJ is a heck of a player. I have so much fun throwing the ball to him. He finds a way to get open. He's big. He's physical. He's great with the ball in his hands, and he makes plays on the ball. So he's everything you look for in a wide receiver, and have a ton of confidence throwing the football. So
He should.
It's great to have him back.
He should have a ton of confidence. Should absolutely have a ton of confidence and be happy. We're all happy to see A.J. Brown back, not just because A.J. Brown's great, but because of how much better it makes Ryan Tannehill. Turns out Ryan Tannehill is a hell of a lot better at professional football when he has that kind of a playmaker on the opposite side of him. Turns out Tom Brady is a lot better when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown and Leonard Fournette are all in the game, right? This happens to every quarterback except Aaron Rodgers this season, and Aaron Rodgers is kind of one of one. So if you're grading on a scale of how well these guys did last night, Ryan Tannehill deserves a ton of credit. There is no question about it. Let's go to Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio is going to join us coming up next, and maybe we'll take some phone calls for Coach Mack as well, since the lines are loaded up. I want to make sure people can voice their opinion about this game today on a Reaction Friday. But let's squeeze Marcus and Antioch in quickly. Hello, Marcus.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy.
Good. So the only question I have, and maybe y'all can help me, and if I can't stay on the line and listen to your answer, we thought, when Corey Davis was here, we thought he just wasn't getting open. My question is, why does Tannehill not get the other receiver touches? I understand AJ was
Which
hot
receiver?
last night,
Julio?
but yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't have a great answer. There was a couple of plays where Julio was open and Tannehill didn't look at him. That may just not be where his read was. It may be a part of the game plan. Marcus, that's a great question for the coaching staff. I don't know that I can necessarily give you that answer with a ton of accuracy.
1 target, 1 catch, 7 yards.
Okay, so it's not, it's a thing, right? I'm not denying its existence. I just don't know that I have a great explanation for you right now, other than the fact that when we talk to, and I appreciate the call, Marcus, 615-737-1045 is the number. When we talked to Ryan Tannehill about getting AJ back, he basically said, yeah, we're not going to miss a beat. We have those banked reps. It's time spent at practice, time spent in games. We have that. You know who he doesn't have that with? They don't have that with Julio. I don't want to say, I don't know that I almost said Marcus Mariota. I don't know that Ryan Tannehill doesn't trust Julio Jones. I just don't know that he has that institutional knowledge with Julio, because remember at the start of the season, Julio Jones was late. He wasn't late in getting here. He was just a late arrival. They did not have him on the field a ton during training camp after he got hurt. When Julio came back, Ryan Tannehill went on the COVID list. Julio's missed a bunch of time throughout the course of this season. And it's not like Julio practices a ton, right? So there's not that institutional knowledge there. A good question for Coach Dave McGinnis, who we'll talk to coming up next. We'll continue to take your calls here on 104.5 The Zone with Coach Mack and up into through the end of the show, because we're running out of time here, but we're going to have a lot of great analysis coming up next. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone. It is Christmas week, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, has a fantastic offer to get you in the holiday spirit. New customers can bet just $5 on any NBA team and win $150 in free bets if they're victorious. It's a great way to put some extra jingle in your pocket. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code WGFX. Bet just $5 on any NBA team to win and get $150 in free bets if they're victorious. That's promo code that's promo code WGFX this Christmas week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older.
Let's see if we can get him to throw us another one.
Two receivers to the right. Now Kittle motions left. Garoppolo's going to throw it. Fires down the middle. Pass is intercepted.
There it is!
Hooker, 30, 25. Hooker, 20. And Samuel gets him down in the Pinnacle red zone. There it is. Say more things, Coach.
Yes, say more things, Coach. Great job, defense. It's exactly what you need.
Oh, my God. That, of course, is the irreplaceable duo. Titans Radio, Mike Keith, Coach Dave McGinnis. On the call last night, Max said, let's see if they'll throw us another one. And Jimmy G certainly did oblige. Coach Mac joins us on this Christmas Eve right now on 104.5 The Zone. Mac, Merry Christmas. How much fun did you have yesterday?
Come on, Buck. I mean that was a nice Christmas gift to all of us that care a lot about the Titans. It was a lot of fun. The magnitude of the game, clearly. I mean, the stadium was just, you were there. It was alive.
Rocking.
I mean, that thing was really going, and just the whole atmosphere. And then, but the gravity of the game, that was a game. I was talking to Tim Ryan, who does the color for the 49ers. T-Rock played for us at the Bears when I was there. And we both said both of these teams have to win this game, and that's not going to happen. Somebody is going to leave this stadium tonight really, really sad, because that was an important ball game. And the way it started out, I wasn't really wanting to leave that stadium sad, but it was going to take something to pull it out. And just the resilience of this football team, it was really fun to watch. That was a really physical game too. Buck, I tell you, I remember vetting Deebo Samuel coming out of South Carolina.
Oh man,
that's really the first time that I've been able to just really dial in on him, getting ready this week with the tape, and then seeing him in person. That is a dude, but we had our dude too, and it helps so much to have your good people back. I mean, there's a reason why they're special. And last night, I mean, A.J. Brown wasn't special. He was spectacular.
Beyond.
So it was so much fun, and then just the great feeling. 100 games, and some of my favorite times. Of course, I'm doing it with the greatest people in the world. But when those games are like that, and those fans are leaving, and I'm hanging out the window, high fiving.
Yeah, I saw you
giving them air fist bumps, and it's just such a great feeling. And so, what a nice Christmas present. And the other thing that I like, we're starting to get some of our dudes back, and now we get a little bit of rest, right, Buck?
Yeah, this mini bye is going to be so crucial for the Titans now that you're seeing COVID positives start to pop up across the NFL, and we're just trying to get bodies right after. That was Deebo Samuel, Mac, before we get into A.J. Brown. And by the way, this needs to be said first and foremost. Last night, as Coach Mac mentioned, this was his 100th game with the Titans radio crew. You need to be in the Ring of Honor yesterday, Mac. You are such a fantastic presence for all of us. We are smart. We are made smarter by you. We are made better by you. I don't just say that to gas you up. I cannot tell you how much I respect the way that you approach your job and just how much joy you bring to everybody, man. It really does mean the world for us to be able to work with you. And I like I said, I don't say many nice things to a lot of people, Mac, but I love what you do, and I love having you around. You're the best, buddy.
Well, that's very kind of you, Buck. And that means something to me too, because I enjoy doing what I do so much. But to be able to do it with the Titans radio crew, and then to be able to be around you guys up there at 104.5, because you guys really care a lot about what you do. And I'm fortunate. Look, I've had a great career in the National Football League coaching, and then I've been blessed to be able to start another career in the NFL with some really, really good people. And you certainly are one of them. And 104.5 The Zone and Titans Radio, and then just this entire city and this fan base has been so good to me. That's why I just love it when the Titans win, because now we all feel so good, because and it's not saying anything that people don't know, but there's a lot of work that goes into this, and we all care a whole lot. So that's very kind of you to say.
Amen. I'm just happy that you didn't fall out of the booth. I had people sending me texts of videos of you hanging out the window after that game, yelling "Merry Christmas" at people. I thought you were going to fall.
Yeah, I felt like Scrooge, on Christmas morning after we got through with all the ghosts, asking, hanging out the window, screaming at people in the street. It was a great evening. There's a lot to scream about because that was a major win.
So let's talk about the win. AJ Brown. I mean, they started keeping this stat in 1978, Max. So it's been at least 40 years since any player has done what A.J. Brown did on third down last night. He was exceptional. Career high, 11 receptions. He caught 8 of those passes on third down alone, and these were not easy third downs that the Titans had to convert. His style of play and just being that kind of a playmaker, it elevated things in a way I feel like everybody wanted it to, but it's so unreal seeing that actually manifest with all the pressure that he's been under, with all the injuries that he's been through, not just him, but across the board. How big a difference did A.J. Brown make for that passing game last night?
It was everything. I mean, it's phenomenal. And having him out there, and again, the third downs, those are third and double digits. I mean, against a good defense. And let's give some credit. Let's give some credit because for those to be thrown third and double digits, to be able to be thrown, they have to be protected. And I thought the protection schemes that Todd Downing and his staff put together, and in the way that offensive group were able to employ those protection schemes, because look, they had some dudes that could rush. And Bosa being the linchpin, but there's a bunch of them that could, and somebody had to be singled up so that you could give help to some other places. And so, we got attacked some in the middle when we were sliding the protection and we were doubling, but we had to keep the edges protected. And to me, that whole crew, Todd Downing and his whole crew, and the players deserve so much credit for that, and especially Buck, where we were coming in there with the offensive line situation. But look, AJ Brown, just if Buck, really seriously, if you'd have made 2 of those catches during a game, you'd have said, "Wow, that's really good." He was phenomenal. I mean, and I don't throw that word around because I've been around some great players. I've been involved with coaching a lot of great players in my time. I've done 100 games for Titans Radio. I've done over 600 as a coach, and I've seen some great performances. That one last night on that stage, that's a national stage and a meaningful game. I mean, A.J. Brown was just like, whoa. And, hey, it helped that Julio was out on the field because now they have to pay attention to out there. And then all of a sudden now you see Nick Westbrook-Akina start to be able to play his role. Yeah. He doesn't have to be the dude. He can play his role. And then Ferkser can play his role. And then, I mean, all of that is so important. I just, I said it to the Titans radio crew before the game. I said, I just can't wait till we can get all of our people back, because with all of our people, this is a gritty, gutty football team, no matter who we have playing. But when you get all your dudes back, it's a really good team.
Oh, by far and away, it's one of the best football teams, one of the best constructed football teams when they're healthy in the National Football League right now. Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio is here with us, recapping that Niners-Titans game last night. He is, of course, presented to us on this Christmas Eve, as always, by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Healthcare coverage from Farm Bureau Health Plans is like an extra set of pads when you need them the most. They've been protecting Tennesseans since 1947 and making so much of our great Titans radio content possible, as well as our buddy Coach Mack here with us now. So you brought up protection schemes, Mack, and the offensive line situation was a big storyline, especially given who they were getting ready and who they did go up against. When you say protection schemes, can you kind of expand for the audience what exactly you mean by that? Because I noticed that as well, and I want somebody who can better articulate it than I can, how they were helping that pass pro.
Well, on short notice, I mean, the coaching staff and got it to the players in the meetings, and then they practiced it, at somewhat of speed, not full speed because it's a short week. First, they identified, look, Bosa can take over a game, okay? And then, I mean, they really did not know that they were going to be that depleted. You know, they knew that Taylor Lewan wasn't going to play, but then all of a sudden Lamb comes out and can't play. And then now Radens is put into that, you know, and here's what I will say before I talk about the schemes is they coach everybody every day as if they're going to be the guy. And so that was so important that Dylan Radens, you know, first of all, kudos to him for you know, paying attention, digging in, which has been I'm sure a very trying year for him. It's not the immediate success that they all want when they come in, but it's not an immediate success league. But anyway, they have to identify where Bosa is, and then they have to identify how they're going to help with Bosa, whether they're going to have a stationary tight end there, where they're going to move, or they're going to move the line to help, or whether they're going to move a tight end or with the play action put a back over there to be able to help wherever he is. That's something they had to determine. And then you saw what they did. You saw what the 49ers did with Bosa. They started moving him, Buck. They started moving him.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to do that. So that makes you reconfigure a little bit too. But to be able to do all of that during the course of a game that really didn't start out great for the Titans. Let's just be honest. I mean, that didn't start out great. You know, I mean, I don't think how many yards did we have? Mike Keith kept
55 in the first half.
Yeah, he kept giving me those numbers as they were going, and I was going, "Whoa!" You know, we've got to start moving the football somehow because the defense, and look, you saw how their offense their offense moved down the field very quickly with those first 15 that they were calling. I mean, they were rolling, they were oiled up, and they were rolling, and the biggest play of the game, in my opinion, as far as, you know, you talk about flip plays are plays that when you look back on it in perspective, you go, that flipped kind of what was happening here.
Yeah.
Was Jack Rabbit's interception. Because if that thing goes up 14-0 or it goes up 17-0 at half, that's a different story. I mean, it really is, just the way things were rolling. So there was a lot going on there, and we can go to the defensive side of it. Look, George Kittle had two catches. There was a real plan put together on him too. So you had to pick your poison. And I think, you know, of course, you know, Kyle Shanahan's a bright coach. He recognized that. That's why Deebo Samuel started handling the ball every play nearly.
Oh my God, Deebo! You cannot be a fan of football and not be a fan of Deebo Samuel, Mac. He's such an explosive player.
Well, and the other thing is I mean, he is that, but he's a passionate player.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when they would dot the I with him back there, you know, in what they call the dead pool, and they would dot the I with him, and they'd toss in the ball, but it wasn't a toss to get to the edge. It wasn't one of those floating edge sweeps. He got the ball that deep so he could look and see, but that second step, he was coming downhill, and that was a lot of dude coming downhill. Because we've got physical players on defense, and they were having to fortify the wall when that guy hit. And then plus, you know, the pass that he caught that took him down to be able to tie the thing up. You know, the corner fell down, but still, you've got a guy that big. He's like AJ. He catches it big and starts moving. That's a problem for people trying to bring him down.
No, I'm convinced that both AJ and Deebo are made out of the same material you make bowling balls out of. Like, they're just rock solid. And you have to make, it can't just be first contact. Like, it has to be swarming to the ball carrier to bring those guys down. And even then, you may not have a chance. Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. So the defense, Mac, has been incredible, not just last night, but really, I mean, they have had special moments throughout the course of that season, and it really seems like it starts up front. The marriage of Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry in the middle of that defense, and when they move them around to put Simmons on the edge or Autry on the edge, and they have a couple of guys working the interior, the way that they run those games to perfection, I don't know that there's a more underrated player in the league this year, Mac, from impact than Danico Autry. I continue to be impressed with him.
Well, I agree with you, Buck. I mean, I think that's a great observation and that's why I was so happy when John Robinson was able to bring him in here from Indy, because he's a violent player, and he's always going to be there. He's always going to be there. And you talk about, I mean, see, it makes so much difference. It's so good to get Bud Dupree back out there.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, this is a force, and then Harold Landry's a force. And let me say something else about a really nice pickup that, again, when I watch defense, I can talk all schemes I want, but I want violent dudes to play defense. And Zach Cunningham, that's a violent dude.
Oh.
And so you start piecing, everybody starts having that attitude, and you just got something going, because a lot of defense is just people racing to the ball, trying to do some damage when they get there to the ball carrier. And to me, that's what I really liked is you can see all of those elements come together. And really what this defense has done, Buck, which most good defenses finally do, is get the mentality that I don't care where they put the ball down, we're going to stop the offense. I came into this league with a group like that they did not care where the ball was put down. They were going to stop the offense some way, somehow. And that's what this group has developed a mentality of this year.
They're allowing 12 points per game in their last 3. It's crazy. Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio has been our guest. He was just in full throat last night on his 100th Titans game call for Titans Radio. He's the best in the business. Mac, thank you so much for taking time on this Christmas Eve to hang out with us. And again, buddy, it's a pleasure to work with you as always, and I can't wait to do it more in the future.
Buck, I truly appreciate you. Thank you very much, and the best Christmas to you and all of yours. Thanks, brother. See you.
Coach Dave McGinnis. Love him here on 104.5 The Zone. Squeeze a few more phone calls in before we do some polls and get out of here for the day. Let's go to B, who's in Nolensville, wants to talk about some Dylan Radins. What's up, B?
What's up, Buck?
What you know?
It's Winning Friday, ain't it?
It's Victory Friday if you're a Titans fan, baby. Let me hear it.
Yes, sir. Dylan Radins, man, he stepped up and showed me a whole lot. And really, him playing so good made me question Questenberry. Like, they didn't think he was better than Questenberry. Questenberry been getting whooped the whole season.
Oof.
And then, if you paid attention, Bosa switched to Questenberry off Radins. So, like, what is that saying? You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to ask you a question. I went to the Bills game, and I was there last night in 138. Do you think the Bills game or the last night was better? That's like the crowd experience.
Oh, man. That's a great question. Listen, my favorite, so I have a lot of, nobody wants to hear me brag about how much fun my job is. I have the best job in the world. You won't convince me otherwise. From what I get to do, I get to cover live sporting events. I'm an NFL reporter. I have a 3-hour talk show. I get to do streaming shows. I get to hang out with one of the coolest fan bases in all of pro football. Like, this is a great experience for me, but there is nothing that makes me happier than game day. Just like you get up for game day, just like players get up for game day, I love game day. And the energy in that stadium, especially with the way that they've kind of revamped the light experience, the LED light experience in the stadium. They don't play a ton of night games, so you don't see it a lot. And I've been at every game in the last, 5.5 years, I would say, to witness that. I think, man, I would have to say I would almost lean Bills just because it came down to the last play.
Well, nothing blows the roof off that building like a Derrick Henry 70-plus yard touchdown.
And neither of these involved Derrick. I mean, well, that did involve Derrick.
The Bills game, yeah.
That Bills game did involve Derrick.
I don't think anything energizes this fan base in the building more than a Derrick Henry long touchdown.
AJ tried. See, this is the only place I thought the Titans game day staff screwed up. They brought out the pain train guy. The pain train guy was the 12th Titan. And I'm sitting there looking around. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Before the game.
In the stadium, they have the pain train, right? They put it on the Jumbotron. You got the guy. I'm sure he has a name other than Pain Train Guy. Forgive me, Pain Train Guy. I don't remember your name. But he's the 12th Titan. He's the dude who's going to stick the sword in the ground before the game starts. He's the one you see on the Jumbotron. He's pulling the train whistle, all this stuff. And I thought the only way that they could have juiced that place up more is if Derrick Henry walked out on the field like they did with Delaney Walker a couple of years ago.
He's laying pretty low.
He's super low.
Other than the Walter Payton stuff?
Super low. He's not, and I know he's not on social media right now either. He's not seeing it. It's straight up, he's just straight up encapsulated in his own rehabilitation world. But I mean, listen, last night was impeccable. It was so much fun. I love that the Titans have a home field advantage this season. Love it. I love the energy that you guys bring. This is why last year, I mean, for a great many reasons, last year sucked. And there are reasons why this year sucks too from COVID. But I cannot tell you how much I appreciate having you all in the stands for what you bring to those environments, because you make it special. We're going to take a few calls. Coming up next, we're going to do the poll questions. We'll wrap this bad boy up and send you on your merry, merry way. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Last segment. Now you got to let this ride, Mac. You can't fade me down on it. This is Sunday service choir, kids. It means it's the end of our week here on 104.5 The Zone. We love y'all. We love the holy hell out of y'all. Each and every one of you that listens to this show. Lucas, Mac, myself, I can't speak for them. They have their own microphones. They can speak for themselves if they choose. Mostly that's to my detriment. But regardless, thank you guys so much for spending your time here with us 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and all the stuff that you do on social media. It makes us feel special, and we hope that we can keep you entertained. And we love that so many of you guys have hung out with us on Christmas Eve. I thought nobody was going to listen to the show today, but we've had a lot of fun. So thank you for that. Get a few more calls in here and get you guys a part of the proceedings before we do some polls with Lucas. Let's go to Dan in Nashville on 104.5 The Zone. Hello, Dan.
Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody, and thank you for being in the building on Christmas Eve.
No problem.
All right, I wanted to share what my buddy's nickname for Randy Bullock is because it's so good it should really become a thing.
Hit me with it.
They call him SpongeBob.
Okay.
Because of the shape of his body. He's kind of shaped like a brico block with these two little legs sticking out.
Wait, who?
He is.
Randy. He's talking about Randy. He's talking about Randy. Randy Bullock is SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes, he's square-shaped, and he's got the two little legs sticking out that kick the hell out of the football. And, so every time he kicks an extra point, a field goal, I start getting SpongeBob gifts on my phone.
I'm ready.
It's been going on all weekend. So SpongeBob, Randy Bullock, it's a thing. Get on board now.
I thank you for the call, Dan. Do you have Caleb Farley back there? Am I putting you on the spot? No, it's not. It's going to be on your hot board, Mac. We're producing the show live. Do you have Caleb Farley? Maybe. We do not have it. It's okay. I rebuke the SpongeBob SquarePants. I put you on a bad spot, Mac. I won't do that to you again. That's on me. It's 100% on me. Accountability. I rebuke the name of SpongeBob SquarePants for Randy Bullock in the name of Jesus. Tara. Oh, the ringer.
There it is.
Mac with the redemption.
Boom.
All right. Quickly, we're gonna rattle through these two. G-Man is next. What you got for me, G-Man? 30 seconds or less.
Hey, Buck, G-Man on base. Real quick, I haven't heard anybody talk about when Henry comes back, who is going to be the odd man out in the running back
That's a good question.
Or, who they going to keep or go.
Yeah, you know what, G-Man, and I appreciate the call. We're going to have to devote a whole lot of time to that once Derek comes back because it's a really interesting question. McNichols is going to stick around. They'll probably try and keep one of them, Hilliard or Foreman, on the practice squad. But I think Deontay Foreman's earned a roster spot. I really do. Darrington, they internally they feel like they're out on Darrington Evans. So I think that Foreman or Hilliard may have some sustainability. All right, quickly, Darrington. This is how we end the calls for the day. What you got for me, stud? Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Hey, how do you think Josh Norman feels right about now? Because if it wasn't Derrick Henry pushing him over, then it's A.J. Brown just humiliating him. What do you think he just feels sick right now in his stomach? I just, that was just bothering me all night long. Hey, and my last thing, that report history with Julio, I don't think he trusts him like he does. I can see Matt Ryan in San Francisco next year. Just because. But yeah, happy holidays. And what time do I need to be over this weekend since the girlfriend's out of town and you got nothing but free time?
Oh, Darrington's trying to burn one down at the Reising household. We'll DM you the details. Polls.
All right, Dan. I reckon I'll talk about a poll update. This is Carl Childers. There's a young feller. I think he's got the final numbers. Here's the producer of the Buck Reising show. A feller named Lucas Panzeker. Got any mustard and biscuits?
Is that the most impactful performance of A.J. Brown's career? 94% say yes. V-Love says without a doubt.
Yeah, I think A.J., I mean, you can make the argument for the Colts game this year, but no spot has felt better And no pressure has felt more lived up to than A.J. Brown last night.
What are you getting Ryan Tannehill for Christmas? Majority, 36% say an apology. 34% say a nice candle. 18% say socks. 12% say other. Crazy Pellet says an Arizona Cardinals win on Christmas would be a great gift. By the way, news on that front, Quentin Nelson on the COVID list.
Saw that. Indianapolis going to be without their stud guard in Arizona this weekend. COVID, man, it's really going to alter the results of these football games. I hate it.
What's the worst Christmas song? Lebowski says this entire album should be forcefully dragged to the Haug. Home for Christmas by Amy Grant.
You know, I don't know what the worst Christmas song is. I feel like I'm so numb to it. And Mac and Lucas have done a good job today keeping me on my toes with Christmas songs that I don't hate. So I have no complaints today.
Corey Curtis News 2 says the one about the shoes.
The shoes.
Evan says the grandma reindeer one.
Oh, that's it. That's the one. Evan's right. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. Sucks.
Tony says All I Want for Christmas by Mariah Carey, which is just objectively wrong.
No.
And worst one is Jim says Last Christmas by Wham. Paul McCartney Having a Wonderful Christmas Time, to me, is the worst Christmas song.
Oh, to you?
Yeah.
Nothing Paul McCartney makes is bad. I'm sorry.
Those are the polls. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We love you guys. Stay safe this holiday season. Enjoy yourselves. The radio show resumes. Well, I won't be here. It'll be Rhett Bryan and Kevin Dyson. I'm taking Monday off, but I got you back and better than ever on Tuesday. For Mac, for Lucas, who's going to be sticking around, coming up next. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you again next week. The Lucas Panzica Show, featuring maybe Alex Apple, is next.